I would say 100%, hand down, 100% of executives have a concept of projects.
So define, what do you mean a concept of projects?
Well, they have a
Have they
concept that
internalized
a
it?
project would be a necessary vehicle for
Yes.
something that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
A special event, an initiative, a special focus. I think that concept is solid. And now I'm going to go on thin ice. Of those 100%, and this I'm being optimistic, 10% understand and know what project management.
They think of a project as scope, schedule, budget.
No, I think even worse. I think, and I've had this discussion with my dad many, many years ago, who was an executive himself. I think they just think that it's an extension of management in general and don't see that it's anything different and why they should focus on it different. So that's why when you ask an executive how many projects you have, what do I care? Somebody knows. I don't know, but somebody does. I'm like that, you know? So let me ask you another question. Let's dive into the Agile thing, because there's a bunch of pet peeves that I've had on Agile, and you have.
Yeah, because I want to dive into that project concept as well. So let's.
Okay, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's start off with that.
So you might have caused a couple of comments to happen as with your comments. Let me throw some more comments.
Good.
Might throw some things out there as well. Whenever possible, I try to remove the project construct in organizations. That doesn't mean 100%.
Okay.
Right. But if possible, 100%, I do actually have, and we talked about this, I have a few organizations, they don't do projects at all. There's no.
I don't know if I like you on that, but keep talking.
I know, that's why I said this, right? Let's talk about this. But the challenge is that a lot of organizations view that every piece of work, most work, right, not the operational stuff, a lot of work has to be done with a project. It has to be scope, schedule, budget, milestones, dates, it has to be managed, all these kinds of things. And I disagree with that concept. Okay. Some projects need that. If there's lots of complexity, lots of organization involvement, go ahead and build a project. I got no problem with that. But the vast majority of the work an organization does is really no different than enhancements. And enhancements are typically not done as projects. It's usually under a certain budget level. And they just say, you need an enhancement, go do it.
Yeah.
Now, there needs to be management.
And there'll be elements of project-esque work. Yes. You might use some of the tools, but it's not the same complexity, the same level of micromanagement, the same level of coordination.
The initiation's faster. The budgeting is different, which is, money drives an organization. How you organize your money is going to be how you're going to organize your company as well, your teams and everything. So it changes the budgeting module, the budgeting method.
Well, if you can assign it to a business unit or a department and cover it with those resources, I would agree with you. But if you're talking about cross-functional teams, I would disagree with
you. So let's dive into that for a moment. So let's say that we build a collection of cross-functional teams, right? And maybe some other teams out there as well that are not, right? Collection of cross-functional teams. Now, these teams are, let's say, product focused, because that's the Agile view of product focused. To me, it's more business focused.
Yeah.
Right. So they're business focused, meaning I can give them a business thing I need done, and I hand it to them, and they're able to do it with very little interaction from other teams. Right. Not no interaction, but limited. Right. So I can give them a business capability or business function. They go off and they can do it. You build out a series of those teams. Now I've got a series of features or capabilities that I need to do. Not with projects. I just say, I've got this thing I need to do. That's the right team to go do it, because they have the skills, the business domain. Let's put it onto their backlog, and they just do it.
Yeah.
Right. Initiation is faster. The budgeting is easier. You're not building teams and tearing them down. You've just got a collection of stable teams that you're constantly feeding business.
You know where I think that happens inherently in organizations? In what I call submarine projects.
Okay, go deeper.
Okay, more. So if we're following the mandate that a project is a legitimate thing and it has to be identified and it has to be approved by a higher up, okay, then you already have a problem that you're creating a funnel, and there's always going to be a business unit manager who's ticked off that his or her project didn't get selected. But in German, we say every business unit leader is a king unto or queen unto themselves, right? Yeah. I've got resources. I've got budget. I don't have to
do it myself.
There's a famous story, I think it was of the Joe factory in France where they wanted to build a new production hall, and it was above the budget limit. They would have had to go to headquarters, and headquarters said, we're not. So what they did is they approved it in releases. So they approved the chimney and they approved this. And then when it added up, and the funny thing, what came out is that when headquarters came for a spot visit, they showed the factory and said, where'd this come from? Who approved this?
And that's,
so I think that's inherent that these enhancements happen, and I think they should be in the purview of business unit leaders to do that. But I'm telling you where my emotional resistance to avoiding the project construct is. I think we've been fighting for so many decades to give project management its due and create awareness and respect for the discipline. I know a lot of organizations that have done what you're talking about. You're no longer allowed to use the word projects, but they still have them.
Yeah, and that happens all the time, right? At least in here, it's still a project. That's
screwy. That's really a problem, because now they have nothing. They don't have a mandate. They have no power. There's no formalisms, but they're constantly tortured by people's expectations.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that. And I put that in the same boat as, organizations, just like teams, need time to mature, to learn, change terminology, change their understanding. So you escort them through that process, so they no longer need to fall on that project construct anymore. And again, I want to repeat, I have no problems with projects. Certainly there are cases absolutely valid. It's just, I think we overdo it.